Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of VMware's Bits and Bytes Live, where we talk about some of the interesting issues and challenges of the day through the lens of the communication service provider. And for this episode, and actually our next episode, we're going to start jumping back into some of the conversations and expanding what we've talked about in the past about ecosystems. And I'm very pleased on this occasion to welcome Paul Norcus, who is 5G Marketing Manager at Dell Technologies, and also Cathal Fitzpatrick, who is a Senior Product Marketing Manager here at VMware. I'm Nigel Stephenson. I look after market development for EMEA for the VMware Telecom team. And so I say we're going to look into ecosystems on this particular occasion. A couple of different types of partnerships. So great to have Paul with us today, talking about the partnership with Dell as another obviously a key vendor and hardware provider. And then subsequently, we'll look at other aspects of the partner environment, such as the GSI space. But for today, what I want to talk about actually is the things that we can do as vendors to help simplify and de-risk some of the process for our customers, the communication service providers, as they move towards disaggregated networks, going from the sort of single vendor, dual vendor type approach, which is well underway now. And has been quite successful, I think, in many respects in the virtualized space. We're now going from virtualized to container-based, so IaaS to CaaS environments. That adds more complexity. Want to talk a little bit about that and what we can do as vendors and how between us we can address different parts of the challenge. So, Cathal, if I could start with you. We've talked about some of our partner programs before with VMware, but just for the context of this conversation, could you just recap for us the partner programs, the vendor partner programs that we have as a software platform provider in this particular space, looking at the challenges and complexities that customers are facing?
Yeah, so obviously as a platform vendor, we have a huge interest in nurturing a wide ecosystem of partners that run on the platform. We really believe in the benefits that an open ecosystem of vendors brings to operators, and we have a range of platforms and tools that make it easy for partners to use our platform so that they can prove that they can interoperate with all aspects of VMware software, and this allows operators to build a multi-vendor network. And we want to remove the complexity for operators by providing a strong quality benchmark that certifies network functions against our full stack before they go into production. It de-risks the projects for operators, as they know the function they're selecting has gone through a strong testing process. So at the highest level, VMware Technology Alliance Program, or TAP program, is how most software and hardware vendors start working with us. TAP program provides hardware and software vendors with tools and resources they need to build and deliver solutions on VMware infrastructure. Partners can develop, test, integrate, and package their products with VMware products and services, and then publish joint solutions on the VMware marketplace for our shared customers. Partners that
I was going to say, so is he right? So we've got partner programs in terms of hardware compatibility, and we more interesting for this audience probably is the partner programs for network functions and the high level applications. So can you give us just a brief outline, give us an idea of the scope of the types of partners that go through these validation programs on the platform?
Yeah, so there's a range of partners involved in our telco partner programs. We have RAN solution partners who have validated their RAN infrastructure on our telco cloud RAN platform, and we have a specific program around RAN intelligent controller application developers who have joined our RIC partner program and are using an SDK that we provided with them to build their applications. And there are edge solution partners who are meeting the growing need for edge native applications. And obviously then there's the 4G and 5G core network function partners who provide either the full core or specialized aspects of the core to operators. Okay. And there's a lot of different types of companies we work with. There's ISVs who have tested and certified their specialized functions on the VMware Telco Cloud platform. And there are systems integrators who help operators speed up the deployment of the projects. Cloud partners, obviously, to fast track multi-cloud deployments. So we work with all the major hyperscalers. And of course, the major NEPs then who have certified their complete range of core and RAN functions on VMware Telco Cloud.
So excellent, thank you. So we've got, from a platform vendor perspective, we've got various programs with different types of vendor partners and GSI partners to integrate and validate their solutions on the platform.
Yeah.
So coming across to you, Paul, I guess you can kind of take that as a starting point, but you then look, I think, more broadly at that, and you're looking at particular customer scenarios. Can you tell us a little bit about the programs that you have in place at Dell to take that conversation further, if you like?
Yeah, so mobile operators know that open disaggregated networks are critical to their growth. But just having the open network is only half the story. What Dell Technology is looking at is the requirements of an open telecom ecosystems where CSPs, communication service providers, can find the kinds of technologies that they need to enable these innovative, differentiated services. Now, I mean, as Cathal noted, hey, this ecosystem is forming, but it's still a bit chaotic right now. So it's really hard for these mobile operators to consume the solutions that are emerging from it. And that's one of the things that we're looking at as Dell Technology is, we're looking from a telecom in our system business, having the global resources and scale to ensure that open telecom ecosystems gain traction and become a comprehensive, practical resource that not only provides mobile operators the innovation they need, but really simplifies and accelerates the integration of these, network equipment providers, independent software vendors, working with system integrators to get their technologies into the network environments.
Okay, so and you have a lab program specifically catering for this ecosystem in telecoms, yeah?
Yeah. So along with working with the ecosystem of partners to bring solutions together, we also have our Open Telecom Ecosystem Lab, or it's OTEL as we call it. Of course, everything has an acronym. But the idea is we've established labs. We have our signature lab in Round Rock, Texas, and at Mobile World Congress we announced the opening of a lab in Cork, Ireland, with the idea of it being, a secure environment where we have new products and solutions that can be brought together across the telecom landscape. And some of the things that we do in there are like, for example, we work with mobile operators to bring the telecom partners together, working with Dell on solution validation. So this is really bringing solutions that can be verified, full lifecycle management, enhanced support. We also do things like proof of concepts, where early evaluation of software to drive ecosystem adoption, and certification, which is a key thing that mobile operators are looking for, verifying that the capabilities of software work on Dell platforms, whether it be active joint certification, where we work with telecom partners to do custom things, or our self-certification program, which we announced at Mobile World Congress Las Vegas, which really brings a wider ecosystem into the picture.
So the lab really is a place. It's like a proving ground in a way. You're looking at bringing combinations of vendors together. So building on sort of platform validation, taking that to a stage where you're starting to look very specifically at what customers are looking to deploy or to evaluate as a solution set. So it's combinations of technologies that you're really pulling through on the lab.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our labs, it's complete end-to-end system testing with RF chambers, racks of equipment. The latest Dell hardware is located in them. So it really is providing the necessary capabilities for both telecom vendors to validate their software, and then CSPs to then take and consume these solutions that we work together on developing.
So actually, a good point. So you've got two audiences in a way, haven't you? You've got the ISVs and the vendors that might be looking to validate their particular solution in a certain context, but you also have the CSP customer, I presume, saying, "Hey, look, we're interested in this combination of capabilities. can we use your lab to create that environment, understand how it's going to work, how it's going to perform, etc. So you kind of got quite a broad customer base, if you like, in terms of users of the facility.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I think the number of engagements we've had has been really, really exciting. We've been able to work with the likes of Dish, and SoftBank, and being able to help them, many mobile operators, as well as telecom vendors, to validate their systems and be able to make sure that they can bring them into market.
Cool. And Cathal, presumably, I've kind of alluded to it, you would see these programs between what VMware's doing, what Dell's doing, they're quite complementary, yeah?
They are. So, we have our own, what we call Ready for Cloud, VMware Telco Ready for Cloud program. So this validates virtual network functions and cloud native functions on the VMware Telco Cloud platform. So, to qualify for this endorsement, partners have to show that they built their network functions to meet NFV or cloud native principles. So, but what Dell have done is they've recreated the full VMware Telco Cloud environment independently, including all the full automation and orchestration tools, in a lab that simulates the carrier's cloud infrastructure. And the tests that are run in the lab then validate the impact of the deployed network function, against the underlying Dell resources. So this gives operators the data they need to scale their cloud resources more efficiently, so they know exactly what is required to provide a particular capacity level. And I think the independent validation provided by Dell is also important, as is the certification nature of the process itself. It demonstrates the overall maturity of the VMware Telco Cloud platform, and shows that it can be used independently by network function vendors and infrastructure partners to build a telco grade network.
Okay. And so, Paul, have you got, so you have this this complete sort of VMware environment in the lab that people can come and play with. Do you have examples of recent vendors or solutions that have gone through the lab?
So to give it like a concrete example, one of the things we did at Mobile World Congress Barcelona in February, leading up to it, we've been working with some mobile operators on how do they, protect the data on their platforms. And we worked with VMware in our OTEL labs, basically to understand, how do we go through this? How do we do Power Protect Data Manager? And we actually launched a solution brief which describes this. So, and just to give a high level view, Power Protect Data Manager is a Dell Technologies solution that enables Dell data protection over virtual cloud as well as physical infrastructure of telecom system. So it enables the ability to rapidly back up and redeploy existing configurations all the way up to the Telco Cloud platform. And this is like the basis of the work that VMware and Dell Technologies did together. So, and the work we did with the VMware is to make sure that the mobile operators have a very clear and accurate procedures. How do they do this? And we put it through, I think the thing is like real world scenarios as if it was in a real telecom open network. And that, I give you an example of the kind of things, the bigger picture things that we're doing in the Open Telecom Ecosystem Lab with partners like VMware.
Okay. And I think you mentioned, must get the terminology right, is it the Power Protect solution?
Yes.
You mentioned, and I know there's a solution brief, I think, on that. So we'll post a link or get a link posted in the comment if people want to take a look at that particular solution. Interesting. Excellent. Well, look, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground. It's obviously this is a key area. As I said, I think at the beginning I said we've seen a lot of success with the move towards NFV and virtualized environments. I think the real key now is moving that onto the container and the CAS environment, and these sort of facilities are going to become and are becoming, I think you've already illustrated, more and more important for operators to be able to test ideas, to be able to check performance levels, etc., etc. It's obviously it's not a production environment. I suppose we should say that it's not a production environment, but we are. It is a good illustration of how the industry is taking steps to support the customer base, to support the industry, because it is a challenging world. I think nobody would disagree that there is a lot of potential, but there are also a lot of challenges, and it's almost one of the biggest ones is probably culturally. So I think having a lab environment where people can not just test things, but get familiar with how things work when you move into things like cloud native operational requirements and so on. It's a different way of building and running networks. So I would imagine that when customers and vendors come into this lab environment, they're not just learning whether things work, they're actually learning a lot around the process of how to build an operating system. Listen, as I say, I think we've covered a lot of ground. In terms of if there is interest, Paul, in the lab from ISVs or otherwise, how would people typically make contact with them?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that we've done in Dell Technologies is, we really want to focus on expanding, the 5G partner ecosystem, and specifically when we're looking at that, what are the next best of breed, the kind of like the new vendors that are out there, getting the independent service, independent software vendors out there, being able to get them access into the ecosystem. So how do we get innovative startups and smaller ISVs, and how do they get access to the latest equipment that's out there? And one of the things that we've done to enable this is we have this program called self-certification. And it's basically a way to give these independent software vendors the ability to increase their brand credibility, remove barriers to enter telecom, and want to increase our revenue opportunities. And what we've done is we worked with VMware to establish test lines. They're pre-configured with test cases that allow basically independent software vendors to self-certify their solutions on our Dell Technology hardware platforms using a Vim layer from VMware. And basically the idea is we're verifying that the quality and capability of the ISV's software are ready for deployment in today's telecom network. So it's been a really great program, basically to give access to ISVs to test their software on Dell hardware platform on a VMware software layer.
So basically, so there's guidance there. It's when you come into the lab environment, there's guidance, there's directions you can take, there's a framework to follow. So that's already part of the program.
Yeah, so it's been designed to be as easy as possible. Literally, the software vendors can do it from their desk. There's we have literally an online form. We'll post the link to it here.
Okay, yeah.
But basically, it makes it very easy. We've streamlined the onboarding process, getting NDAs, lab access agreements, and things to be able to come into the lab. There's a portal where you literally allocate a piece of hardware for you to go and test your capabilities on a VMware test line. And they self-certified, and when they're done, they basically get acknowledgement through a Dell certified badge that they can do. We help them with providing marketing assets, and we get this into our sales channels as well too. Basically, creating a catalog of portfolio partners that we're continuously sharing with our Dell Technologies telecom sales team, so that they know there's this level of software companies with innovative services that they can bring to mobile operators.
Excellent. Okay, well, look, we'll definitely get the link to that form that you mentioned for the ISVs to reach out to. And equally, I guess if anybody from the CSP community wants to get involved, or in fact, it'd be great if CSPs gave some direction in terms of what they would like to see. So for that, I guess if anybody wants to reach out to us on LinkedIn, that's probably the easiest way. Just connect on LinkedIn, and we can pick up a conversation from there. But yeah, we'll get the link for the form that you mentioned posted in the comments as well on LinkedIn. But for now, that's been an excellent conversation. Thank you very much. I've learned a lot about the lab and what it can do, and it's great to see that extension of the validation certification process go from the platform vendor, in this case with VMware, through to the hardware and solution component that Dell's adding to it. So for now, thank you very much, Cathal. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Nigel.
Take your time, and look forward to maybe talking to you again on this topic, and maybe getting an update in a few months' time as to what else you've seen go through the labs. Thank you for now.
All right, thank you, Nigel.
Bye. Bye.